And what I'm taking, here I am, stop understanding. To need a love, I'm meant to take over. Oh girl, don't look in the fire.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar today. Today we will be going over the webinar Doing Moderation Right, How to Build Trust in Your In-App Community. I'm Bam, Product Marketing Manager at Social Plus. And today I'm joined by our two speakers, Avi and Rita. You two, any quick hello or any wish to our audiences today?
Hey guys, good to see you. Uh, as you might know from some of our other webinars, my name is Advi and I lead our customer success department. It's of course really important for us to have a good relationship with our customers, and moderation is a huge part of that. So looking forward to touching on that with Bam and Rita today.
Hey everyone, my name is Ghita. I'm working as a product manager at Social Plus, and this couple of year, like I've been really focused on moderation. So happy to be part of this webinar today.
Great. Okay, I think we have a really interesting discussion today on moderation. But before we jump into it, I'll quickly go through our agenda. Today we'll be talking about what today's brand really need from their community stack, the role of content moderation in branding and user experience, what modern moderation in the age of AI and scale look like, and we will be going over our new feature as well, Social Plus Moderation Feed. So let's kick things off by zooming out a bit and really think about our community stack, right? You kind of, when you think about it, you kind of think about the infrastructure first and you think of how to set up the right foundation for your community, what powers the space, how users enter them, where interactions happen, and engagement. And these are like the core foundation we used to think of. So I'm really curious, you two, when you think about what today's brand really need in their community stack, what stands out to you, what are the new priorities that are emerging that maybe weren't part of the conversation a few years ago?
Rita, you want to go first?
I think that one of the biggest shifts we have seen in communities the last couple of years is merely generative AI. I mean, now it helps you really generate cool stuff, but it can also like be really misused very easily because anyone can create some really fake realistic images, deep fake videos, and even articles within seconds, which is actually a bit scary, meaning that it will mean that harmful and misleading content can actually be spread super fast. So I think now like brand, um, the game changed a bit. So it's not longer only thinking about how to take down only the bad stuff, but really thinking ahead, how to keep this community safe. How can I protect like trust within my community? And I feel like we're already seeing shifts in big social media, for example, Meta. They started adding like this AI info label. So anything that's been created by AI or has involved AI, they clearly show to their users like this has been like done by AI. And I think for us, where we are headed is just that AI is not about what they create, but really make sure that on our side, on our current side, like they moderate it like responsibly.
Interesting. Okay, that's cool. I feel like when I look at the question, I think about it differently.
Mm,
Because when you say what today's brands need in their community stack, well, first of all, most brands don't have a community stack. Most brands are leveraging big social media and existing big communities, right?
mm,
So they have very little control over, let's say, infrastructure and access, user experience. Where they can really have an impact is engagement and interaction. And even the trust bit of it is like really dependent, because they don't have full control over moderation and the ability to actually adapt the data and be able to show people, like you said, set the right expectations and have the right content there. They can't do it on big social media. So, I mean, for me, the primary shift, first of all, is the recognition that a lot of brands seem to have where they want to build their own community, whether it's on their own platform, whether it's on a different platform, like using, Discord or using Circle and any of those sort of providers. but the idea being that they wanted to do that. After that, I think these are kind of the four pillars. The only thing that I kind of see, trust is becoming super super important, right? And again, this might be because of the advanced polarization going on in big social media, right? That so many more people get agitated or start posting stuff that they shouldn't be posting, that maybe that behavior carries on across to these private communities or these smaller communities. And that's where it's important for the trust, for the brand to really moderate effectively.
Hmm.
um, but I think that's like Rita mentioned, AI moderation is a big part of that. But for me, like, the flip side as well, right? Brands also need to better understand their users through their community stacks as well. They have so much information, so much data that users are sharing. Understanding that, as well as having the trust and moderation cycle, both of those together really are closing the gap between brand and user, essentially.
Right. And it seems like what we're seeing here is that it's not only just what people should be thinking about community stack when they're building it, but we're seeing a gap in building trust and moderation, right?
Yep.
And that brings up like a really important aspect, which is culture and control. So if when we think about moderation at scale, or even like not having complete control in like big social media platform or in your own community, there's always like a tension between creating a safe environment and allowing community culture to evolve on its own.
Mhm.
So what do you think about the balance between setting clear rules and giving the community their own room to guide itself?
Want to go ahead, Advi, on that?
Sure. I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said the one word, right? You said, "What do you think about balance?" The key is
Yeah,
balance.
it's fast.
Like, of course, you don't want communication about stuff that might be bad for your brand or not reflect nicely on your brand. Even then, you really have to be conscious about, like, what degree of this feedback are you limiting versus not limiting, right? If users are giving you negative feedback on a product, sometimes it's so funny. I've had clients come to us and they're don't want to, let's say, put a certain group out there or put a certain new product out there because they're afraid of like the negative feedback they might get. And like, so in every client journey there's a moment that we have to have a discussion where I have to like let them realize that, hey, it's okay if you're getting negative feedback in your community from your users, right? People want to air their frustrations. That's the whole reason you have support hotlines and everything, right? So of course, if you're gonna give them a new place where they're able to share stuff, of course some of that might be that they're sharing concerns or they're airing frustrations, etc. You can't just moderate everything out. What you can do is, one, have dedicated areas for it, right? So you might have a group that is specifically for feedback, etc. And then two, you don't have to take action on everything. Like, it's not that they said something bad, so you need to delete it or you need to fix it. It's perfectly okay to acknowledge their opinion and just say, like, thank you for sharing. We really appreciate it. And half the time, that's what a lot of these people want. They just want to be heard, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like as long as you're doing it in, one, setting the right boundaries, and two, enforcing them in a respectful way, there should not be as much of a conflict. Now, it is very hard to be a woke brand nowadays that is actually respectful of everything and all the views that are going on. So, harder said than done, of course, but definitely something that's doable in my opinion.
Actually, Advi, that's very interesting because I feel that it is when this user are giving this bad feedback, this is where you really build this strong culture. Because when you say, okay, I hear you, I understand that, this is how we're gonna do next. It is how we really can really bring that bond and say, okay, we are here for you guys and we are
Exactly.
listening to you. And it's like people, this is what users are looking for. They want to be heard, they want to be acknowledged, they want to see like we are seen and our feedback are taken like into consideration. I
Look,
think that's
during the good times, everyone is there for you. It's who's there during the bad times, right? And I think it's the same principle that matters.
And
You're
that applies universally, right?
yeah, essentially.
But I truly think like, especially like in micro communities, not
Yeah,
like one in like big social media and stuff.
of course.
If you really build a strong culture, then I think it's become community led. Of course, it doesn't mean that there will be like no moderation or control, but it
Yeah,
will more be like in emergency cases, like maybe someone new is coming in, he doesn't know how it works, etc. There is
yeah,
someone problematic, but you really set the tone. But it does take some time actually to really go to be on that step to have this strong culture.
true. I mean, take a look at Strava. Take a look at Noom now, 2 years into working with us. Um, both of them in terms as companies and as fitness companies have established this culture, have established this like community around sharing. So it's not like you're going into Strava or going into Noom and finding people like sharing content that's political or this or that. No, because they built it over time. And like you said, it's not now it's reached a point where even when new members come in, old members are guiding them on like, hey, this is what this is for, this is what this is for, right? And that's kind of where you want to get in a micro community, I'd say, is like you want to reach a place where you have a self-sustaining micro community, right? Where the culture is fixed, identified, like people know what they're there for, and they're able to help others who are coming in as well.
Mm. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing here is that maybe instead of thinking only about the balance between culture and control, maybe we shift our perspective on control instead of like just controlling and moderating the environment, more shifting more towards controlling the expectation of users when they come into our communities,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good way to do it.
I think that's a beautiful way to think about it because that puts less pressure on us on creating like a perfect moderated environment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think that actually sets us up to perfectly for the next layer, which is proactivity versus reactivity. So we touched upon it a little bit about how do we respond when that culture really kicks in real time, right? And you have to think about how you really set up the workflow. So here, what do you think about like how do you actually decide which content to be proactive about versus reactive about when it comes to moderation?
Thoughts, Rita, from a product manager perspective? I'm curious, what you think.
I think they go hand in hand. Yeah, I don't think like one needs to be completely removed and then we only focus on one, but I believe like they work hand in hand. The way I see it, like the way I see like this reactive moderation is like, okay, I will be there and check when someone flag content and then I will react on it and say, okay, this needs to be reviewed, this needs to be done. But it's very efficient, like you don't waste time because you only see when stuff are happening. But at the same time, this means that by the time that someone flagged the content, maybe this content has already been gone spread fast, which is not really good. So that's why I think the AI here like play a big role because it does done this proactive moderation because it really catches like all the bad content at the early stage, at the content creation stage, even before they go viral. So it's really about a combination of both. It's not like, okay, I remove one and I keep one. And I see like AI can be like this frontline defense. This is how we're gonna do like our content. It filters out like all the noise and like we're actually more of like a safety nets for the community.
Yeah, I think that's like super similar to my viewpoint on this, right? Like
Mm.
same thinking, where you kind of do need both, of course, and exactly there's the aspect that you said where, like, of course, AI is making it simpler to do the proactive part.
Mm.
Um, and that way your teams need to just focus on those things that get flagged. And so you're more reactive and you need less, let's say, actual human resources on the job.
Mm.
Um, it's interesting when we talk about it with our clients, though, right? Definitely, I'd say on an enterprise level, there's
Uh-huh.
still a hesitancy, right? I mean, completely justified that there's still a hesitancy around AI moderation. So, like some of our clients, their teams, their moderation teams will still look at the regular feed and all the posts and go through it themselves as well,
Yeah.
right? Rather than just focusing
Mm.
on that one. Now, of course, this is out of an abundance of caution and care,
Yeah.
and also just a lack of, let's say, faith in the
Trust.
in how advanced AI is right now, right?
Yeah.
AI right now can do a limited amount of things. It can't do everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
So from that perspective, it's good that they are still involved. I just think that as AI tools get stronger and as our AI tools get stronger, especially, maybe they have to be less and less reliant.
Yeah.
And that just frees them up to make sure that their reactive interactions are actually much better. And this is not just like those that get flagged for moderation, but then them actually being able to interact with the community, right? As they
Mhm.
be the primary purpose anyways.
Exactly. To have like to engage with their users.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's also another angle to
Hmm.
proactivity and reactivity, right? We can think on it on like a feature level as well, like
Okay.
chat versus social feed. Do you
Yeah.
think we should treat them the same or
No,
differently
no, this
here?
you're right. Like, look, like chat is so real time, right? That
Right.
you really need real time proactive support. That's chat is kind of where you do need proactive moderation a little bit, but then again, it's like social is an ever present thing, right?
True.
Chat, the context in which you need chat moderation heavily proactive is when you have some sort of live event, or you have some sort of live shopping experience, or you're watching the FIFA World Cup and then you have a live chat. That's where you need to definitely be proactive, and in that sense, that proactivity has to be there even with human moderators as well, right? Just
Yeah.
overseeing everything, because those are like big one-off events that you kind of need to do. A general user one-on-one chat, probably you don't need to do it as proactively. It's more so, I think, a volume game, right?
Mhm.
Chat is real time, and when there's a huge amount of users and a huge amount of messages in the same chat, that's what makes it so that like stuff can get lost, and that's where it can get.
Mm.
That's really true. And uh, I think you mentioned one thing throughout this conversation is context, right?
Mm.
And I think context is quite hard to catch even on like a human level. So I think I'd
Yeah.
like to more on that even like context and nuances.
Oof.
And since we're playing like AI is coming to play a
Yeah, yeah,
bigger
yeah.
role, how much should we really rely on it? Like, can AI really replace content moderation entirely? Maybe
I'm a
on like
I'm gonna let
context
our
and
product manager deal with it.
I don't think at this stage AI will really replace the human moderation. I'll just give you an example. Like currently, we want to work soon on the AI topic detection. So the idea is that we want to let clients specify which topic they want AI to flag for them, so they don't have to go through all of everything. So they can easily like focus on the sensitive topic for them. And for example, here in Thailand, detecting religious content is very important. So even if you have this kind of targeted detection, of course, it helps you like speed up the moderation and just be on top on sensitive topic for your own use case. But at the end, like AI, it does not understand the context or like the intent behind the post. Like it might catch something as religious, but at the same time, it cannot really, is it like just a respectful discussion? Is it just a joke? Is it harmful? It cannot say that. So that's why I think human is needed in a way that we need a deeper context, because human will be able to understand the cultural phase, the historical one, and social one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so human in the process, I feel like is still important.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the way that I think about this, or the way that I like to think about this, is like implicit versus explicit context,
Yes.
right? Like AI, I think, is at the point where it's able to grasp explicit context decently,
Mhm.
right? Obviously, because of the way right LLMs work right now with predictive, you know, with predictive algorithms, it ends up being that like it understands the context of a language, or like let's say a paragraph, a sentence, etc. What is this sentence supposed to mean? Now, implicit context is like, nuanced. It is like, hey, I have maybe said a couple of words in this paragraph that might be alarming to a person if they normally read it, or might be concerning, right? Or it might be that the tone of what I've written is something that the tone is actually what is giving me a context understanding from a human perspective, right? These are the little like like parts of context where I think AI is like lagging, right? And so that's kind of the reason why even when we said proactive versus reactive, or even in this context, there is a need still for humans, like we've been discussing, right? It's not that we can completely let go of it right now. Hopefully, I mean,
In the future.
yeah, and that too, hopefully, depending on how you look at it, right? I see a lot of stories about human moderators working for big social media platforms,
Yes.
how horrible that is for their emotional and mental health as well, right? Just because of the sheer volume of atrocious, violent stuff that they're actually seeing in order to moderate. So on the one level, it makes me very excited about the future where like hopefully this sort of developments happen soon so that people don't need to be going through this stuff
Yeah.
themselves. But yeah, let's see how it goes.
But I also think like for me, like as a member of a community,
Yeah.
and I think that's the general feeling, people feel more insured or more trust when they know there is someone, a real person behind this, not only like AI doing all the work for them and taking all their content. So it comes okay again to trust when they know, okay, there's actually an actual person reviewing this, and
Hmm.
it's not like automatically by a bot or something.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I think the super important part. You're
Yeah.
right. Um, in fact, maybe something for us to think about, right? Like if content does get flagged by AI or reported by AI, maybe that user should be notified. Hey, like our AI algorithm flagged this because you did this, 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 right? More
Uh,
like as a learning for that user, so that they
yeah.
can avoid the same problem.
More like of a feedback loop. Like I'm
Yeah, yeah,
getting this, but
exactly.
you're also aware of it, of what's happening.
Exactly.
Mm, makes
Definitely
sense.
something to consider. Okay.
Okay, I'm actually curious since there's like so many noises out there. How should we think about context though? Like whose context should we
Bam, don't be touching on questions like this. This becomes, you don't want this to become a super political thing. But
doesn't have to be
no, you're,
political.
no, no, you're absolutely right. Whose context is it? And that is the biggest question out there, right?
It could be hypothetical. Just me asking
I
hypothetical
I think
questions.
hypothetically, look, you need to think about what is the type of community you're building, right? If
Mm.
most of these communities are brand-based communities, so the context is pretty aligned with what's the brand's image, the brand's identity, and what the brand is portraying itself publicly, right? Now, that's not to say that oftentimes what a brand sets as is context is not actually the context of its users, right? But any brand that is really working with community actively will recognize this within a couple of months, right? Working with the users. And then that's an interesting place because hopefully at that point, your end users are able to help better shape your context,
Yeah.
considering that they are the ones that are, affecting your bottom line. So hearing them out and being much more liable for the context you are setting as a company, directly liable to your users is definitely, I think a big part of making sure that it's the right context, if you're saying the right context in a sense.
I feel like this touch a bit on how now our big social media are shifting the way of doing things. With like how Meta and X are now using these community nodes. Like they are
Mm.
claiming that it's gonna help the user to have this more freedom of speech and add more context to that. We know there are underlying reason for that. But I feel like seeing this shift actually is quite interesting, especially in this time when the like AI has quite of a big dominance.
Yeah, I know. I'm not gonna. Don't get me started on that stuff because then we'll go into
Yes.
about community notes and like, is that effective moderation? What was the motivation behind that? No, no.
Yeah.
Um, there's parts of community notes that are interesting, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Um, but then it's also about how are you implementing that feature? Is it full? Is it not full? Is it just like there for show?
Yeah.
So,
It's just for
but
the image or it's really doing the work.
yeah, exactly.
But since we've like talked a lot on like AI and human led, we've touched on it a lot already. Maybe let's see, is there anything you guys would add on to this, the balance, like where should we
Hmm.
think about like how AI should, what aspect should AI handle, which aspect should human handle moderation? Let's go over this one more time.
I mean, I think it's like Rita mentioned, right? Where she said there's always going to be a need for human moderation to an extent, at least given our current capabilities, right? Um, in that view, it makes sense that moderation should hopefully be human led but AI aided in a way, so that essentially, and this is when I say human led, I mean more so setting the context and the direction, like you were mentioning earlier, right? Versus the execution side of it, primarily on AI's side, right? Like, hopefully, it is thinning it down enough and like getting rid of most of the noise so that the few moderation cases that humans need to handle are those very, gray areas where tone is not clear, where this is not so obvious, where we don't know is this pro brand, anti brand or not, right? And so hopefully, I think it just reduce over time. I see AI moderation getting stronger, and all I see that doing is reducing the scale of your operational teams. But I always still see, at least for the foreseeable future, at
Yeah.
least one moderator in your team, right? Essentially, even just like guiding the AI.
True. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I love
So
that. Then Rita's like, no, totally agree, done.
so I guess like
I cannot add more on that. You said it all.
Sorry.
all good. So I guess like tying all that together, thinking about culture versus control, uh, AI and human led moderation, proactivity and reactivity setting up the workflow. I think let's see how us, Social Plus, really put moderation together. So, Rita, would you like to go through our moderation feed and show how we're dealing with moderation?
Sure. Let me share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
I think I'll just remove it because it cannot see mine properly. But yeah, so since we know that AI and human touch need to work together, so we built this moderation feed. So the main reason, for us building this, is that we want to make the work of moderator more efficient. Like we want to gather everything that require an action from moderator. So whether it's a flagged post, comment, or messages, everything will appear under the moderation feed here. So from our console, you can easily access the moderation feed. And the first thing that you see is the review tab. So here, actually, you can see all the flagged contents, whether it was flagged by AI or by users. You can also see the reason why it was flagged. Like, for example, for this one, AI mod flagged it for harassment or bullying, and it was reported by 3 users. 2 of them have raised it as harassment or bullying, and others for violence or threatening content. So it does really help you get the full context why this thing has been flagged. And even beyond that, you can get a more understanding about, okay, this has been flagged, but was there any conversation happening? Like, who liked this post? And you can actually easily do that by clicking on here. So you can see what have other people have said about that, who are people who reacted to this specifically. And again, here is really to help you get this bigger picture and the most context needed. So the idea is not only flagging text type content, but all different type. So it's going to be, for example, here, a video, a photo, a file, really all of it. And we know that moderation work may take sometimes a lot of time, and we want to have our moderator to make their work more efficient and even just focus on the things that for them are more sensitive. For example, here we allow to filter. You can filter by content type, but also report reason. The thing is, we know that for some client, depending on their use case, you might want to check actually urgently some specific report reason. Let's take, for example, you have a community of mental health. So for you, it's important to check first everything regarding self-harm or suicide or violence. So you can easily just do that. So you can focus on the most urgent ones that are more aligned with your need and with your specific use case. And even on top of that, we allow you to sort by different type of date. So either you sort by last flag date or flag count to make sure to really prioritize your work. So we are providing this to give full flexibility in your moderation and in your process, and really help you prioritize what's needed based on your specific use case. So what's happened now? Okay, you have filtered, you are checking the most urgent one, and you see, okay, actually, I want to take action on those. So there are 2 actions that can be taken. The first one is deleting the post, and the other one is clear flag. But let's say you already know, okay, I want to delete these 2. So you don't have to do it one by one. You can actually multi-select. Let's say I'll take these 2. And be like, okay, I know this should not be in the community anymore. I want to delete it. You click on delete. And when it's done, you can actually see it in review tab. So what is this review tab about? It's mainly showing you all the action that have been taken on content. Whether it was clear flagged or deleted, everything will appear here to give you maximum visibility. So any action taken by your moderation team can be reviewed here. For example, here, this one has been deleted. I can see who took the action and when. And you can also filter by moderator. Let's say you are managing 2 moderators. I want to check their work, or one moderator has asked you for some more details. You can just do it directly from here. So that's the full concept, really giving you a one-pager view where you can take all the action by understanding the full context behind it, but at the same time, keeping this traceability of what has been done and why.
Nice. I really like this review page as well because personally, I've seen this a lot with bigger clients of ours. When you have a bigger moderation team, it's
Yeah,
important this is important just from a standpoint of checking your moderator's efficiency and output and
yeah,
making sure they're doing their job as well, right?
exactly.
Because gotta have checks in place for that as well.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Very, very cool. Thanks, Rita, for going over this. I think
Um,
let's turn the floor to the audience, whether you guys have any question regarding our moderation feed or any more discussion point that you'd like for us to discuss more about. Let's give it a few minutes.
I mean, if you guys have communities, how are you doing moderation? What do you see as your
yeah,
challenges? If
Right.
you're moderators, what do you see as the biggest hurdles you're facing?
that'll be interesting for us to know as well.
Yeah, I'd love to learn more.
Yeah.
I see one thing. Okay. Ben says he has trouble figuring out what's the right tool to use when it comes to moderation. Okay, interesting. I think that really just comes down to use case, right? What is your use case? Are you trying to moderate a whole community? Are you trying to moderate chat? Are you just trying to moderate articles or certain UGC that people are creating? There's kind of a lot of different systems out there. Ours, of course, works best with our own communities, but can be used separately. Otherwise, of course, there's great companies like Sprinkler, etc., that also do this out there. So I think there's quite a few options for you to look into. Um, it really first figure out what's your primary use case, and then accordingly you can evaluate pros and cons of different providers.
Thanks for the question. Okay. Any
Awesome.
more? Okay.
Well,
I have one more question. We are
sure.
struggling.
Go for it.
Okay. So the question is, we are struggling with user engagement and coming up with engaging content for our users. Any tips on content creation for moderation teams?
Ooh, interesting. So first of all, here, ideally, your moderation team is not necessarily the team that is doing the content posting for you, right? Um, it could be, of course. Essentially, I mean, the person that is posting content for you or the team that is creating content for you should be quite knowledgeable in the field of stuff you're doing, right? As an example, when we're working with Noom, their moderators are different people, but then the people that they have actively posting in their community are their physical trainers and coaches, right? Um, now, so that's the first aspect, is like, just kind of figure out, is it the right person who is working on this? Second thing now is, coming up with how to engage users and how to create engaging content. I think this goes down more of, a content calendar direction, understanding what's the value proposition of your community specifically for your users, not for you. Oftentimes there's a mismatch between the objective that businesses set out for when they're creating a community versus the value that users actually think they can get from it. So really honing down on understanding what's the value uh, loop that you're creating, and then kind of building that out on the basis of that, then your content plan really gets informed, one, by what's this value, but then two, the breakup of your user demographic, your user psychography. How are they using your community? When are they using your community? And then this can really help to determine what type of content you're posting, or what ratio of content you're posting, right? Whether it's 50% text content and 20% of the time it's image content and 30% of the time it's video content. but having that diversity in different types of content, different themes of content, as well as different calls to actions through your content are kind of the primary, let's say, levers in order to do this. I'm happy for to kind of go into deeper detail. If you would like to, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. We've built a whole community framework around this, which kind of helps to target how you should be doing the content and breaking down what's the best way to create your content calendar. So please reach out to me, and I'm happy to share more about that with you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one more thing to add on this is that I think the magic really for moderation teams really lies in understanding user pattern, right? Because you're actively listening and really understanding what types of discussion are being done. So really looking into the patterns, the type of conversation, and the types of feedback you're getting while moderating content could help fuel your content creation idea as well. So yeah, just will add on to that. Cool. Very interesting question. Any more? You guys can drop it in the chat inbox as well, if that's easier. Maybe a few more seconds. We got one more as well. Any tips on moderating the escalating conflict? Some topics might be sensitive, but we may not want to delete or remove the post.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's exactly the tricky gray area that we were talking about,
Yeah.
where human decision making comes into play. Um, it really depends on the conflict, right? If you think it's something where no matter what you say, it is going to spiral out of control, then sometimes it is just best to leave it for a little bit and let it kind of simmer, or let it keep going, and then come in and then start and de-escalate the conflict. If it's something where you feel like it's nonsense and anyways, it shouldn't be something that needs to blow up, that's where you can very directly like either take action by being involved in the discussion there, or removing and deleting it, but then reaching out to that relevant user to like explain to them, hey, we had to delete this because of this, right? It depends how out of bounds is it when it comes to your expectations and community rules that you've kind of set with people, right? The expectations that you set with your community users, if they understand they shouldn't be posting this stuff, then even when you reach out to the user separately and talk to them about it, there's no excuse really, because you have the justification of, look, this is against our code of conduct. You shouldn't have been doing this. If you do this like two more times, we have a three strike policy, and then you'd be banned from our community. There's At the end of the day, it's very hard to de-escalate conflict without a little bit of conflict, right? And one can't be scared of kind of addressing it when there's a genuine reason to address it and there's genuine cause. It's just that we shouldn't be moderating or deleting haphazardly without thinking of the consequences. Rita, you want to add something here?
I feel like that even that at some point, like you had some conflict, like in some sensitive topic, and then you want to delete it, even if you haven't put that rules from the beginning, I think you can still do it later on. So you can just reach out to that person and saying, okay, this has been deleted for these cases, for point 1, point 2, and you can just reshare the same rules like in the community. Okay, guys, we have seen this kinds of content like coming in. We just want like to remind you guys that this and this and that, and even like we are sorry that we haven't tell you that like from the beginning. Just like this kind of like we are hearing you, we understand, and this is how we need to go forward.
Yeah. There's an interesting tactic I've seen like one or two communities using also, which is where they have the ability to hide content, right?
Yeah.
So what they instead do is they hide content. So let's say, Bam, you have posted something that is, like too, fiery and something that we don't want. Um, the moderator can essentially click hide on this feature. And so Rita and me, if we're looking at our feed, we won't see that post, but it'll still be visible to you because you're the one who posted it. Right.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting tactic that I've seen like some companies and communities use, where you are technically de-escalating the conflict and you're making it in a way where like Bam doesn't feel bad because her post doesn't seem to be deleted, right? But Rita and I don't feel bad because we don't come across the post either. Um, it's something to consider. It's a good stopgap measure normally when you're trying to figure out how to proceed with moderating or not moderating certain content, and you kind of have to have that discussion internally or with senior stakeholders and other people as well. But as a whole, it could be could potentially also be used to de-escalate conflict.
Yes.
Interesting questions. Nice.
Yeah.
Any other out there? I know in the interest of time, because we only have, I think, a couple of minutes left, but happy to continue this discussion. If any of you guys want to reach out to us on LinkedIn, or, even email, like my email is just advi@social.plus. So feel free to reach out if you guys have any other questions, and happy to go through it. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, I think we had some very interesting discussion today,
Yes.
and thanks you two as well for your time, and looking forward to many more interesting discussion in the future. So, yeah, I think let's wrap up today, and yeah, be on the lookout for any other upcoming webinars in the future as well, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rita. Thanks, Pam.